evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Paint Desk Ramblings. I'm joined tonight by a man who I'm sure will need no introduction, but I will introduce him anyway. He's a member of the advisory board of the T9A project and a member of the background team. He's also the editor of the Ninth Scroll and the host of the Ammertime Podcast. It is, of course, Henry P. Miller. How are you?
Hi there, guys. Welcome to the show. Thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah, I'm super happy to have you on. I think we're gonna have a really nice episode here. We will be chatting about the 2019 year in review from a ninth age perspective, that is. Looking at
no talking about Brexit.
No talking about Brexit then. Sure. The biggest news of 2019, perhaps, yes. Although I think that's been going on for a lot longer than 2019, really. So, but we'll look at some of the releases that T9A has done and things like that, and then also look at some miniature companies and what they have been releasing over the past year. So I think we're in for a really nice episode. Been looking forward to this. But before we get into all of that, we have the hobby spotlight, and I'll let you go first, Henry. What's on your desk?
Cool. So my painting table is just covered in stuff at the moment, but what I'm working on right now is some I've got some hyena models from the Conan the Barbarian range, and I'm painting them as warhounds for my Beasthead army.
Oh,
which I've just started.
Yeah, you have a blog on the forum, right? With
yes.
What's it called? The Ribera herd.
Ribena herd, because I don't know how if people who are not English maybe don't know what Ribena is. Ribena is like a purple drink that you get in England. And
okay, I had no idea.
Army, yeah, the color of the army is like purple, so they're the Ribena herds.
Nice. And you have some sort of goal to use very little Games Workshop minis, I understand it as.
Yeah, exactly. So the plan was to see if it was possible to build an army without any Games Workshop models. And I chose, not purposely, but the army that I chose is an army that doesn't have that many miniatures in its range, apart from Games Workshop models. So it's a bit of a challenge. And also finding miniatures that I like and that are a good price and all this. So it's quite an interesting project.
Yeah, I've seen it on the forums and it really looks nice. I like this about setting limits for yourself to try and build an army. It can really create some awesome stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely an army that has ended up looking completely unique and all the none of the models are complete Games Workshop models. So it's every time someone sees the army, it's something different, which is nice, especially when you're used to seeing like the same army or the same models all the time.
Yeah, certainly. So that's neat.
And just as a disclaimer, it's nothing to do with me like hating Games Workshop or anything like that. It's more just a project.
Oh no, it's just also the Games Workshop models are all great, really. It's
I actually quite like
the best producers of miniatures out there. But it's an interesting challenge to do something different and really to open yourself up to other companies and see what's out there.
Yeah.
So just because you're doing non-Games Workshop doesn't mean it's anything wrong with Games Workshop, of course.
No, exactly.
So for myself, I'm working on let's see if I can get it to focus up here. Not really, but it's a champion for my light troops unit in Empire Zornstall. So it's a Games Workshop model, speaking of which, but converted slightly to make it a female model with a head from statuesque miniatures. They do a lot of head kits that are really nice, a lot of miniature heads. So converted her up a little bit to use as a champion. I already have a champion with the hunting rifle option painted up and ready, but in case I ever wanted to use a repeater handgun, I'll be using this model instead.
Do you tend to have models that you save that model until you have a certain build on a character, or this is your kind of great weapon model for your character when he has a great weapon or something like that?
Yeah, I try to stay quite pure vis-a-vis what you see is what you get. But for this model is I had it on my desk. I had prepped it, and I needed something to paint for this episode. Really, I have
it's
not
also
yet.
A nice excuse to get more character models with, so you can use them.
Of course, there are, especially for the Emperor Zornstall. For me, there are so many different cool character models out there. So I probably end up painting up probably 2 of each for every possible build in the end. It's crazy how many good models there are out there.
Yeah, I have an undead project, which is like a Empire / undead project, and pretty much every time I see an Inquisitor model, I just want to buy it because they're all really cool.
Yeah, I hear you. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. I've previously been working on my unit of knights for this armor project. I don't have a full army yet. I'm still working on that. I haven't played a single game with them yet, so I don't have really any clue what's good. But I'm working on a few different things. So I have my knights. They are almost finished. This is the standard bearer. Only the banner left to do, really.
Yeah. Will you do a freehand banner?
Yeah. I have not fully figured out what yet, and I'm not entirely sure if I want the banner to be green, but yeah, I'll sort that out hopefully soon. I had the goal to finish this unit up before the end of the year, but that is starting to look a bit tight. We'll see.
I must say I'm following your Empire project on the forum, and it's great. If anyone hasn't seen that, you should check it out.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really happy with the project. It's going along very nicely, I think. I have another miniature almost ready for paint. That's gonna be a big project because it's a really big model. But we'll get there when we get there.
Any spoilers?
It's a miniature I can't actually use in the game.
Okay.
So yeah, it's something that they really want to add to this army, but unfortunately at the moment there are not rules for it in the game for the Empire Zornstall.
Okay.
Many other armies have access to this kind of miniature, but not Empire.
Okay.
So soon enough, you will see something about that. But that is the hobby spotlight out of the way, and we will move swiftly on to the news. So for the 9th Age project itself, it hasn't been that much going on lately. A bit slow over Christmas. There have been a lot of spoilers though, released for the coming Infernal Dwarfs army book, made by Santa Claus, something like that. Santa, perhaps. So nice little, yeah, nice little fluffy spoilers. Always good to see those kinds of things. Miniature-wise, there's been quite a lot going on, I'd say.
Yeah.
I'll switch to present my screen if I can find it. Share screen. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yeah, I can see the screen.
Yeah. So the first bit of news I have is from Wood Axe Miniatures. They have released some sort of flying thing for the a dwarven flying thing with sort of a seeker-like character on top. Looks really neat in my opinion.
Cool.
I guess you could use it as a copter in a perhaps a seeker themed army, something like that.
Yeah, that would be cool. Is it like it's almost like a windsurf, but a flying one?
Yeah, some sort of kite-like windsurf thing. Really neat concept. It's great to see this kind of unique ideas that some companies have. I think though that the copter options for the dwarves they are really quite spoiled in that regard. I think there are a lot of zeppelins and stuff like that out on the market.
Yeah, exactly.
And that brings us to the next piece of news, which is also some flying contraceptions for the dwarves by Norba Miniatures. I think these are available for order now. So some pretty neat looking copters. I really like this design. A lot of wood. I like that in the dwarven armies instead of just steel. But maybe that's just me.
It's a bit too steampunky for my tastes.
Okay.
I've never really been a fan of that kind of style, but
yeah, fair enough. It's to each his own. I can agree that it sometimes gets a bit too steampunky in the dwarven ranges, but I think these are a bit on the lower side perhaps. But yep, definitely an option if you're in the market for some flying things for your dwarves. So we'll move on. Fireforge Games. They are doing their folk rabble.
I've actually got in on this Kickstarter.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to have.
Yeah, I had the undead models, and I also got some folk rabble as well that I can convert to zombies, just to give a bit of variance on their units. And I must say that the whole range of this is really, really good. The sculpt quality is fantastic. The model quality is fantastic. I think these are like since I kind of stopped using Games Workshop models, these are by far the best models quality wise since I've kind of moved away from Games Workshop models. And I'd even say that some of these models are better than Games Workshop models. The zombies in particular, they're so easy.
Those are. Yeah,
they're so easy to paint, and they look really good. They're really characterful. I think the Fireforge zombies are going to be the new go-to zombie models for Night Age players because I think they're a much better price. They're much cheaper. They're much better than the Games Workshop models, and they're much easier to paint.
Yeah, I can only agree. I was super keen to get in on that Kickstarter. There were a lot of nice miniatures, but I already had almost all of those miniatures covered really. I have something like 210 zombies painted, ready to go.
Oh shit!
I felt like I couldn't really find an excuse to buy any more.
Yeah.
But maybe I should have tried harder. Because a friend of mine got some of them and the knights as well. And man, those are some beautiful sculpts and casts. It's incredible. And now the folk rabble are also up for grabs. I think for the general market, at least pre-order is up. So that's great to hear. And then the last bit of news I have is from Lubart Miniatures. They released a screenshot of their coming design, so a Feldrak model.
Nice. That looks really cool.
Really beefy and armored and menacing looking. So they are asking for some feedback on it, and people seem to like it generally. So hopefully they will be doing that pretty soon, making it available models to buy. So yeah, that was all of the news item I have. Do you have anything?
Let me add one more for you. We're going back to Norbra miniatures. Is it Norbra? Norbra miniatures. They're releasing Empire of Sonstar Kickstarter in the new year. They just released some pictures of their miniature range. They have like pikemen and handgunners, and they look really, really good.
Oh yeah, down here, yes. Must have missed that. But yeah, those look really sweet. If I ever want some spearmen for my Empire of Sonstar army, this is probably where I'll turn. And mix in a ton of other
the one unit I'm missing in my vampire army, which is spears, so I'll probably get these models and put skeleton heads on them.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Sweet. So might have to get in on that Kickstarter when it arrives.
Yeah, you can actually already pre-order these, I think.
Okay, neat. Yes. Okay. Do we think we are done with the news? I'll mention one more thing. I stumbled upon a podcast just today that I had totally gone off my radar up until now. I'll stop sharing the screen. So it's the Battle Focus podcast.
The one from Australia. I've been listening to this one.
I have no idea why I have missed out on that, because I listened to half an episode right before recording this, and man, that's really great stuff. I'm so excited to have a lot of new stuff to listen to while painting. So super happy to have found that.
Yeah, I don't think they're releasing that often, and they're not posting it anywhere on the 9th Age forum, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
I think I did try to reach out to them, but I have not had a reply.
Yeah, we chatted a little bit on the forum, me and the host, and we might do some guest work, me coming onto their show, and him coming to these ramblings. So we'll see about that in the future.
Cool.
Hopefully,
that'll be great.
Some stuff. Yeah, looking forward to it. So yeah, that will be it for news. Let's see here. So on to the main topic, the 2019 review. So as I said, we will be looking at this from two perspectives mainly. From the perspective of 9th Age releases and news. That's been going on since the last New Year, and also from miniature companies and what releases have been over the year and what we like, and chat a little bit about each. So I've asked you to prepare a little bit to pick out some 2 or 3 things maybe. So if I think we'll just get right onto it. So if you be willing to start.
Yeah, of course. So I think the first one that we should mention is the Demon Legion book. It was released, I think, right at the end of 2018. So although it was in 2018, no one really knew if it was good or not until 2019. It's really been this year that it's kind of been a bit more established as a new thing. So I just wanted to highlight that one as the first thing to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. It was around Christmas, I guess it was released last year.
Yeah.
But no one really got into it until in this year. So fair enough. There on the edge.
Yeah, I think for me, the most interesting thing about this release was really understanding how demons work from a background perspective, like how they operate, how they function, how they manifest in the mortal world. I don't know how much you're into the background.
No, I read quite a lot of it. So yeah, that has been fun exploring. The demons have generally not interested me that much in the game or such, or in the background before. But the things I read about the Ninth Age demons, I really quite like. It's feels like a very good way of justifying why they are here in the realm and fighting, and why the armies suddenly appear and all of that.
Yeah. How do you think it compares to the Games Workshop demons?
The Games Workshop demons, I always felt that they shouldn't be an army of their own, really. They always felt like part of this whole chaos combined thing, which I think they have gone back to a lot more in Age of Sigmar. It's not separated that much into mortals and demons, and it felt more compelling in that regard, that it's a combined force of demons and worshippers. But
Yeah.
the Ninth Age has really made it justified that they are separate factions, I think.
Yeah. And have you seen any interesting new models for the demons with just kind of on the back of the Ninth Age book?
Well, was it the Veil of the Ages? They did an actual model of the cover, basically. That was really sweet.
Yeah, exactly.
So it certainly has.
There's also I know we want to talk about miniatures later, but just while we're on the subject,
we'll go in a wild spree, I guess, wherever this discussion takes us. No worries.
I think Mantic have made like a whole new demon range since. I'm not sure if they're kind of following our release schedule or something, but well, I mean they kind of did with the Warriors as well. But they've come out with a whole new demon range, and some of those models are really nice.
Yeah, I think I've seen some of those. I'm not entirely sure. They don't have that much. Don't look that much at the Mantic stuff. But yeah, it's good to hear. They had really some new big monster-like thing for demons, I think.
There's like a multi-part giant kit that you can get. I have it for my B-Serds army, actually. It's really huge and it's quite cheap. And the sculpt quality, again, is really good. I'd recommend it to anyone who wants like an iconic giant model.
Yeah, is it like an ordinary giant? Because that one I've looked at, I know they have a big giant that I'm planning to.
They have, like what they do with a lot of their kits, they have like a base kit, which is like the body of the giant. And I think the body of the giant is the same for all their giants. And then they have two different kits for the heads. So they have like a demon head and a demon kit head with two different heads for the demons. And like a regular giant head, which is 2-3 different heads for like a humanish giant. So you could use it for almost any army. And if you're buying the demon head, then you get that demon head. And if you're buying the other one, then you get the other head.
Okay, that's neat.
So you could use it for, I use it for beast-herds, but you could use it for orcs and goblins, for warriors, for demons. Probably, infernal dwarves as well. I think you could probably make a good infernal dwarf giant from the parts in that kit.
Yeah, I've looked at their one of their giants at least for my Oaks and Goblins army, and I will probably get that pretty soon to use as a big brother giant, basically.
Yeah, that's exactly what I used it for.
Nice. But I think they had some other more of like a Morph Akan kind of monster also.
Yeah, they do. They have some really interesting ones. I think they have like a Kraken as well, which is really nice.
Yeah. And they've really expanded their range.
Yeah, exactly. They've just expanded their range a lot recently. But the demons in particular are really interesting. You can buy like a whole army for $149 or $150 US.
that's not a lot really. Might have to look into that. I'm thinking a little bit, and now we're skipping ahead again. I'm thinking a little bit about using my Empire army as cultists at some point in the future.
Okay, cool.
And then I would need some demons, so maybe Magic is the place to look, basically.
Have you seen the is it Frostgrave cultist models?
Yeah, I have. Those are great. But the cultist part, I would probably just want to use. It's just a way to get my Empire army on the table, basically.
Okay, I see.
So I use that part, that part as the mainstay, cultists and all of that. But it's just an idea so far. So a bit more about the demon book. How do we feel that it has been received in general by the community?
I mean, I've heard mixed things from different people. I think in general it's been pretty well received. It's taken a lot of the random elements out and made it a bit more stable. I think it's definitely playable. I mean, I'm playing at ETC for Team Ireland, and I guess if you kind of consider that as the top level of the game, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And it works. There's a lot of countries are using demons in their games. So in that respect, it's pretty good. I think some people are maybe a bit sad that you can't really theme an army so much anymore.
To a specific god, you mean?
Yeah, I think maybe that's only one of the limitations that you get a bit. And I think also the playstyle of the army has changed in general. Where it used to be in Games Workshop days, it used to be a bit of a shooty army. Now it's more focused around combat.
Yeah, maybe.
Although I would say that the feel of the army is certainly, you feel like you're playing an army of demons.
Yeah, they are very specialized, I understand.
Yeah.
That every unit is really good at something, but has a great weakness as well.
Yes, exactly.
Which is quite a unique approach. One critique I've heard of the book quite a lot is that it's very complex, and that playing against it can be a nightmare. I haven't played that much against it. I don't know why. I mean, there are players in my group who plays them, and at tournaments they are quite common, but I just don't chance upon them that often, it seems. But okay. Some people say that it's tricky to keep in mind everything that they do.
I think you have to be very clear with your opponent as a demon player, like what manifestations each unit have and how that interacts with the game, because it is quite easy to forget them.
Yeah. On the other hand, I usually see it as they don't have any other options than these manifestations. There are no spears or great weapons or shields or banners. It's just the manifestation. So I can't really imagine it being that difficult. I haven't noticed it the few times I played them, at least.
I mean, there's nothing stopping you as like a hobbyist to actually to build the manifestations into your miniatures, right? If that's what you're, in the same way as you would with the shield or a spear.
Yeah, and if people start doing that, that's awesome, really awesome. Like the manifestation Shilling Yawn, I think.
Yeah, you can take
on the yeah, and on the lemurs and such, it could be awesome. And centipede legs, also really evocative.
Yeah, if you want a tip for making centipede legs, you can buy on eBay. You can get the old HeroQuest spiders, and they're really cheap. And you can just cut the legs off. You can just cut the legs off and put them all over your models.
That would be really neat.
Yeah, I have a load in my bits box. If anyone wants some, just let me know.
Yeah, that's neat. Yeah, that could certainly be a way for it to become more clear. But also, in comparison to like medical banners, I mean, every book has, I think, 2 or 3 medical banners, and those are generally not modeled. But people can't keep track of that. So
yeah, exactly. I think it's a case of giving the book a bit of time to kind of get into the meta or into the people's like usual playing, people that usually play against it. And once you've played against it a few times, you get more used to it, and you also get used to asking the right questions. But okay, this last time I played, this unit had this power. Does it have the same power this time? Yes. Okay, great. And then you learn it. So it just takes a bit of time to get used to it, I think.
Yeah, I suppose.
But I do agree that it is a complicated book.
I guess, but it's I don't think it's more complicated than dwarves, at least.
No, with all the runes.
Yeah, and especially the runes, because everything is rune of destruction, rune of smiting, rune of so it's all the same patterns. You can't keep track of them at all, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
So
there's
not a
some
dwarf
other. No one is a dwarf fan.
The constant theme of 9th Age bashing on the dwarves, I guess. Yeah. Okay. So, do you have any else you want to add on the demons?
No, I don't think so.
No. It's a really cool book, I think, and a cool army.
The last thing it would be just to say, like, the artwork was phenomenal.
Oh yeah, stunning.
I was impressed with the warriors. I was impressed with the Warriors book, and then the Demon Legion just blew me away even more. The art team for the 9th Age is crazy sometimes, what they can produce and how much they can produce in such a short period of time.
Yeah, I am a bit worried about the Infernal Dwarfs book, how they are going to top that, basically, if they can keep this incredible quality. But yeah, I didn't think they would do this well with the demons, so I'm positive that there will be some awesome stuff in that one too.
Yeah, I've seen the cover of the new book, and it's really good.
Nice. All right. So I'll do another mention, and I think since we mentioned it already, I guess we'll move on to the Cultist release.
Yep.
So the first supplement army for the Demon Legions.
Yeah, I think this one was really interesting because I think the Ostlanders has had quite a lot of success.
Yeah.
And this one was a little bit more weird in the way it works. I don't know how much you've seen on this one, whether you've played it or against it.
I did an episode specifically about the Cultist book, actually, with one of the players from the Swedish scene who has the most stunning Cultist army out there, really. Yeah, you are also familiar with this army because you did an article about it in the
Night Scroll.
Yeah. So that army, I had that guy over and chatted about the Cultist, basically. So I looked at it quite a bit. But it's a really an interesting army. It functions so differently from everything else in the game, really.
Yeah. I don't think there's that many options in the book, but I may be wrong. I haven't really put lists together or anything?
No, it's in the book itself is quite limited, really. I mean, in core you have cultists, and that's it, and you can take some demons too.
Yeah.
But I think the combinations that you're able to achieve is really crazy.
Yeah, like all the different items that you can get, and all the veil tokens that you can get.
Yeah, and the manifestations that you can get on the possessed. You can take both items and banners and manifestations on them, and it's crazy how much you can get on them.
Have you played against the cultists?
I have not. I only seen them at one tournament in Sweden, and that one was hosted by me, so I didn't play. I probably should try and get a game in against this cultist army by Vilman.
Yeah, I haven't played against them yet myself.
Yeah, which is a bit weird really, because it's quite an easy army to get into, because they've designed it a lot so that you can just take your ordinary army and add some demons and off you go, which is exactly what I'm intending to do maybe with my empire. But I haven't seen a lot of people do that, unfortunately. I think a lot of people want to do it right and actually theme an army around it more.
Yeah, that's the majority of armies I've seen as well.
Yeah. But I think it was an awesome release to see how far they can push a supplementary book.
Yeah, definitely.
It'd be very interesting to see what kind of books we'd get for the Infernal Dwarves. I have no idea what they could do there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything in the pipeline, so I couldn't say for sure. But maybe something like a slave rebellion or something like that.
Ooh, that could be cool.
I don't know.
Because the Warriors books have both felt quite obvious. I mean, they focus on a specific culture of the barbarians, which is an important part but not central part of the army.
Yeah.
And the cultists, in a way, actually, I said that I liked the demons that they described how they fit into the world and how these massive armies can appear and all of that. But the cultist book, in a way, makes more sense than the actual demon army.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
Cultists are everywhere. Even in the fluff of the demon book, there's a lot of cultists appearing.
Yeah, exactly.
So it really feels.
More like this. It should really be the main demon army, right? In theory.
Yeah, maybe it should be the other way around. Yeah, that would be interesting. But in that way, it was a really obvious choice for a supplementary army to do.
Yeah.
So that's good to see. Do you have a lot of tournaments, by the way, in Denmark where you can play the supplementary armies?
It's becoming more and more acceptable. I ran a reasonably large tournament in October in Copenhagen, where we allowed the supplementary armies. And one person came with Osklanders. I think the Marker Khans is a more of a difficult army for people to bring, because like the Osklanders is like you could pretty much just use a warrior's army and you don't have to get that many more models. And the cultist army, as you say, you can use almost any army for that. You just need a few demon units, which most people have some kind of. If you have a collection, you have probably something you can use as a demon. Like, just as an example, I'm painting hyenas right now for warhounds, and they could easily be the hellhounds, right?
Yeah, certainly.
But I think with the Marker Khans, if you're playing the army the way it should be played, you're probably using a lot of horse archers. I don't think people have that many horse archer models. So,
no, I think most people have like 5 or 10, perhaps, and you need like
I just built
30 or something.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
the
I just
marker.
built 10 for my silver elves recently, and that means I have exactly 20, and even that would be probably not enough.
Yeah, that is a bit of a different, more
So
difficult
I
army
think
to
I think
collect, I
people
guess.
who are going to be playing marker cans are going to be guys who have maybe a historicals army, or who are like really want to play with that kind of list.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Ostlanders are kicking off a bit, and they're actually quite reasonably good in the game as well, I think.
Yeah, I actually played against the Ostlanders yesterday. I was at a one day tournament, and the last game was against an Ostlanders army.
Cool. How did you go?
I won 18-2, and that was mostly just dumb luck. Really. I had some really hot dice, and he did not. He had this huge Jotun.
Yeah.
The frost giant thing. And
Did it
stuck.
feel like you were playing against Vikings though?
Yeah, that it did. It had really nice models for large parts of the army, so it felt very thematic. I don't know the manufacturer of those particular models, but yeah, it was nice. So this Jotun that he had, I think in turn one, my turn one, my turn two, I had first turn. My vampire spawn charged it, and then they stood fighting for like 5 combat rounds, something like that. He charged in some warhounds, and they died to the vampire spawn. He didn't do any damage to my white clock, not with the Jotun, not with the warhounds, until after the hounds were dead. Really awful die rolling, but it only has 3 attacks, hit on 4+, and wound on 2+, and he just didn't roll those 4 up to hits. And then before the vampire spawn were dead, I charged in with a unit of spectral hunters, which are the absolute worst unit in the game you could probably charge into a Jotun.
It's got magical attacks, right?
No, it hasn't. It hasn't got medical attacks. It will. It's basically becomes the ultimate pillow fight. Because the Spectral Hunters, they have the 3-up 80 save, so they don't die basically. And the Jotun has resilience 7, so your strength 5 attacks are completely wasted. Yeah. But then they also have flaming attacks, and the Jotun has this rule that you have to re-roll successful to wound rolls if you are flaming attacks.
Yeah, it's like the ice giant, right?
Yeah, so it's the opposite of flammable, basically.
Yeah.
So it's just nothing happens, basically. Though
so there's just quite fighting forever.
Yeah, the combat wasn't over when the game ended. So the Jotun had one movement phase where he moved up into my face, and then he stood there for the rest of the game in one single combat. And I was actually quite lucky with the dice there too. I managed to get, with the Spectral Hunters, managed to get 3 wounds through over, I think, 3 combat rounds, which was really lucky with the re-roll and all of that. So, but a fun game.
Jotun, is it unbreakable or is it stubborn or something?
It's stubborn, discipline 9, and he had the Battlestunner Bear nearby, so he wasn't going anywhere. So, yeah, are we? Any closing thoughts on the cultists?
Yeah, nothing at all. I think the next thing that we should talk about is the marker cards, as we mentioned them, and we're on the subject of auxiliary books.
Yeah, certainly, and they were actually released this year, unlike the Ostlanders that were chatted quite a bit about. So yeah, the marker.
I don't know how much you've gone into the book, but we had a read in the car on the way back from a tournament recently. And we were like, this book is really good. It sounds, on paper, it sounds really, really strong. There's a lot of combos that you can do. There's a lot of synergies in the book. There's some also like really like cool stuff, like the Karkadan herds and the mammoth, and yeah, I think I really like it. I'm considering building an army for making them actually.
Yeah. I think it's a really cool book. I've seen it at a tournament once, I think, at a tournament I hosted.
Yeah.
And he had a really cool looking army. I think it was built specifically for that purpose.
Do you know what models he used?
No, I can't recall at all, unfortunately. He had some cool chariots, I know, and the Karkadan herd, which were pretty straightforward, I think.
Yeah.
And then he had the biggest model I ever seen on the table, which was the mammoth. Mammoth.
Yeah.
It has the largest base, right? So 100 by 150 millimeters.
Yeah.
And it didn't even nearly fit it. It was insane. I'll see if I can dig up a picture really to post later. I can't find it right now. But no, that was really cool to see. I don't know if it's that powerful overall. I think all of these supplementary armies are okay balance wise.
Yeah.
They don't feel overpowered, but I don't think. I guess none of the really good players perhaps are using them. I don't know. I
think the marker look, as I said, on paper they look really strong, but then I don't know how much it translates to reality.
Yeah, and as long as the ETC doesn't allow them, which I don't think they ever will, I think they will always have this kind of stamp on them of not being super official, and so a lot of players will just never bother. And so
I agree.
The skill with them,
I think perhaps not. You have to be an ETC army to be like deemed like kind of balanced or something.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to not allow them on ETC. It actually gives the designers a lot more freedom. They don't have to worry that much about balance, which is good.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the Makar and the Ostlanders are probably all right because they function like ordinary armies basically.
Yeah.
But the cultists, seeing those at ETC, that would be the day.
Because I think that would be a little crazy.
Yeah. They are just too different basically.
Hmm. But I think the combinations that you can do in some of these books, like the Marker and the Ostlanders, like without going into specifics, I know that you can get a lot of different buffs like battle focus, reroll to hit, devastating charge on stuff for the Marker and a big unit of lancers.
Yeah.
So you can kind of do a lot of combos on top of combos, and at the same time, there's some really good avoidance options. If that's what you like.
Yeah, I think the Marker, they're probably the best avoidance army out there, I guess.
Oh yeah, for sure. But some of the stuff in their book is like crazy good. Having a bit of experience now with playing like 2 units of Silver Elf archers on horses, I can see how it could be really strong.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the better players in Sweden, Dennis, he took the marker to a tournament. He used to be an ETC player. This guy doesn't play as much these days, but he's still a very, very good player. But he took a marker list to a tournament. I wasn't there, so I don't know exactly how it went. But I think he actually did pretty poorly with them. So I'm not sure if they are on the upper end of the spectrum in the end.
Okay. I'm not sure either. I've not played with them or against them.
There's certainly too little data to do any real conclusions, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your next thing on your list?
Let's see. So yeah, a neat little item. The mascot.
Yeah, that's actually something I didn't put on my list. Yeah. So Klepper the Goblin.
Yeah. Really good call from the 90ish project, I think, to to do something like that. It's they had a competition, right, where you could make suggestions for the name, and then there was voting on it.
Yeah, exactly.
And Klepper came out as the winner. So there's some art of him where he sits with the wolf Fleabag, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And then they did all this stuff for the April Fool's Day.
Yeah, that was kind of silly, but yeah. I think Dennis had a lot of fun with that, the Mr. Gobbler.
Yeah. Yeah, that was neat. And I also think he's officially a part of the fluff now. Wasn't it?
Hello, I think I lost you there. Can you hear me? Hello.
This mentioned. Hello.
I think I'm losing you a little bit here.
Yeah, it stopped for a minute. Yeah.
You're back. You're back now, I think.
Let's see.
So the last thing I heard, you said something about the goblin in the fluff.
Yeah, I was saying I think he's officially part of the fluff now.
Yeah, definitely.
So he was mentioned by the Sigmund Selig, the great sage, in one of his Q&A sessions.
How do you enjoy those, by the way?
Yeah, greatly. I think it's a great way to interact with the with the community and help people understand the world and all of that.
Yeah, good. There'll be another one in the next issue of the Night Scroll.
Nice. Looking forward to that. Then
maybe that should be the next thing of this year. I mean, it's a bit of shameless self-promotion, but we did.
If you weren't gonna do it, I was gonna bring it up. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that we, as in the last 3 years, we've been doing it, and we did another 6 Night Scrolls this year. I'd like to think they're getting better in quality as they go, and as we learn and as we get better at producing them, I hope that they're well received and read and people enjoy them. I don't get much feedback on them, so if people are listening and they want to give some feedback, that would be great.
Yeah, I know that I read a lot of stuff in most of them, not everything in all of them, but certainly a lot of stuff, and it's a lot of great material, really.
It's good to hear.
But yeah, it's always tricky to get people to actually make feedback on it, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess these sessions with the Sage, one of the ways that people are interacting with it. So maybe more stuff like that. And you did these special units and such, community homebrew.
Yeah.
With threads for suggestions.
Yeah, exactly. That was in relation to a campaign I think we did, like the Shattered Isles campaign.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, that was really great and a good way to get some interaction with the community. So more of that, please. Basically.
Okay, I can definitely do something like that next year. That's another way to kind of segue into another thing. Is we released a terrain scenario supplement.
Yeah.
With new scenarios and new objectives, new battlefields, and new magic.
2 releases or 3 releases of different one. One was the scenario booklet, and that I actually worked on myself. Helped write. And then there was the lands with the terrain rules.
Yeah, exactly.
And one with all of the magic things.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was a little bit under the radar, but it was really good. I think.
I think
enjoyed it.
The scenario booklet was quite well received. I think.
Yeah. I agree. There was actually a tournament recently in Denmark where they used only scenarios from this booklet.
Cool. That's awesome to hear.
It was nice, a little bit different scenarios, which was really good.
Yeah.
It made a difference to the games and actually like how you build your list a bit as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you did like game 5 is this scenario and game 3 is that scenario and like
yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah.
But they chose ones from the scenario booklet. And actually, in my tournament that I ran in October, I wrote my own scenarios, but I used the booklet for inspiration when I was writing them, and we also used the crazy magic flux from that booklet as well.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, as I said, I was on the team that wrote the scenario booklet, and a lot of the scenarios are basically just copy paste from scenarios that I use at my own tournament. So some of them have been tested quite a lot actually. Though interestingly, not by me. I played very few games with them, but I made other people play with them. So it's really awesome to hear that they're being used. And I'll also say that the tournaments I've hosted with them, it's instead that each table has its unique scenario. So you roll up to the table and then you read what's going on at that table and you play it. And that way it really doesn't affect list building.
No, because you have no idea which one you're going to play.
Yeah. So I think it might actually be better for mixing things up if you do it your way with having a set scenario for each round, basically.
Yeah.
And this magic release, when that came out, I was actually really keen to try it out, but I haven't gotten around to it, annoyingly.
Okay, I haven't really tried it either, to be honest. I only the crazy magic flux and the magic miscast.
Yeah, those ones. Yeah, I had those at one table at my tournament. Wasn't very appreciated though, unfortunately.
No, I think that was also the feedback from my tournament, was that everyone didn't like miscasting on a double anymore.
Yeah,
that was thought to be a little bit too much.
I think it should probably be modified a bit. I like the idea of having these really crazy miscasts when you use more dice.
Yeah, you can turn into a demon and things, and it's quite
I miss those kind of things a little bit from the older days. But maybe the smaller miscasts are just not good at all. The double miscasts.
I think we have it right now when it's a triple for a miscast. But my opinion is that the miscast result doesn't really affect the game that much, and it should play more of a role. There should be a bigger risk.
Yeah, I can agree. It doesn't. I mean, if you're casting a spell with your general, you never do it with your with 5 dice basically, unless it's a win or lose moment in the game, and generally you don't do it at all. But it doesn't play that much into the game, and for the most part, it's you roll 3 dice and it came out a triple, and then basically nothing happens. So it's just I agree. It should be more of an effect.
Yeah, that's my opinion at least.
So, but still, it's a good mechanic as it is too. It's fine tuning.
It works. It works.
Yeah, it works. It could use a little fine tuning, but I guess we won't see that for a while anyway.
No.
But I think there was a tournament pretty soon in Sweden. In March, I think it will be that they're gonna use these different cards from the Magic supplement.
Cool.
So that I'm really looking forward to trying out. I mean, the scenarios are pretty. It's a pretty easy step to include those in your games, and I know people have just picked them up and use them in their everyday games too, not just in tournaments. But printing out a new set of cards, while it's not that difficult, it still is a little bit.
It's a small hassle, right?
Yeah, it's a hassle. So I guess that makes people not as keen to use it.
Yeah,
and maybe
you can always just read it off the computer, but yeah. I understand
it's when you've gotten used to having these nice cards, and I really like the concept of the Magic cards, and having those and drawing one every turn, and you get an automatic counter for the turn number. It's great.
When I was told it was going to be cards, I was a bit.
Did it stop again?
Yeah, I'm losing you a little.
Okay.
I think it just comes and goes.
Yeah, you were saying that when you first heard about the cards.
Yeah, when I first heard it was going to be cards, I was like, this is going to be a bit weird. But then I actually really, really like the Magic. I actually did an intro game with a friend of mine yesterday. He'd never played before, and he like after one game, playing like full scale one game, he understood the concept really well, and he was like trying to outsmart me with the Magic and everything like that. So the way that it works is really intuitive, I think.
Yeah, it really is. And my biggest critique of it shortly after it was released was that I felt that a lot of the cards were just too similar. I mean, you draw a card every turn, and for the most part, you don't really care. A lot of them are pretty similar, and you will get 1 or 2 spells through. And then there's like one card that's really bad, the number 2/1, and one card that's really good, the number 5/1. And other than that, it's pretty much in the middle. You don't care that much. but this concept of using the different sets of cards, I think is really good, because then you can go a bit crazy with them and have more effects, and they've done that. So yeah, I like that idea.
I actually have a different opinion. I think that the cards are actually quite different.
Okay.
For example, like the number 1 card, you're like guaranteeing yourself 1 spell when you get that card. But there's times in the game where you really need to get 2 spells off, and then you need like some other cards to actually get that. But the number two card, as you say, is probably the worst one. Yeah. But there are also times where when you take that card, you don't get any spells off. And then, whereas the number 8 card, where you have 7 Veil tokens and 7 magic dice, there's sometimes turns where you can get like 4 spells off. So I think there was actually quite a lot of difference in the cards.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I think one other issue I have with the Magic Phase is that you can only save 3 whale tokens. Generally, some can do more. I think if you could save maybe up to 4 or 5, then it could be a lot more tactics in having not transferring your tokens to try and get a more powerful phase next turn.
Yeah.
Because at the moment it's actually very seldom that you even get a choice. Most of the time you trade in as much as you can, and then you have 1 or 2 left. And then sometimes you have
exactly.
3 left, and you have it evens out perfectly, and you have a choice between getting that extra die now or taking it the next turn. But it's not that often that it happens.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think it would be interesting to have more, like maybe a common magic item for every army that allowed you to do that.
Yeah, that would be that's actually a really good solution to it. Just a little magic item that allows you to store 1 extra die or 2 extra dice or tokens. I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Because then you can make a decision based on your army list if you need it or not.
Yeah. And I think there was that item in the demon book, a manifestation.
Yeah.
For like 15 points, you can store 1 extra token. I think that was pretty neat.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah. All right, so
maybe there are some armies that have it already. Actually, I think you're right though that it's demons or warriors or someone that has one.
Yeah, warriors. I think have one that allows you to store up to 6 tokens actually.
Okay.
Which is really good to combine with their Whale Walker ability.
Yeah.
And all that.
Exactly. Do you play warriors?
I don't, but I'm really, really keen on maybe doing it one day. I mean, both the legendary army books that have been released so far, both of them have made me super interested in getting those armies. So far, I have resisted, but I think I will fall to the Dark Gods soon enough.
Maybe when the Infernal Dwarfs come out.
Yeah, maybe. The problem is that I already have so many projects going on, so we'll see. But
if I actually just to segue into the Infernal Dwarves, that's actually something that we should mention for the 2019.
Yeah.
I say we can't always just focus on things that the Ninth Age have achieved. We also have to kind of look at maybe things that we've not done as well as we could have done. And I think Infernal Dwarves is potentially one of those things. I would think it would have been better for the project if we'd have managed to get the army book out before the end of the year. But unfortunately, that hasn't been the case, and it's been delayed a little bit.
Yeah, certainly. It's a shame. Plain and simple. But
yeah, this is how it is.
Yeah. So, but it's good to bring that up. It's I think a lot of people were hoping to get it for Christmas. That has been quite a tradition, really.
Yeah, so far, right?
To do big releases for Christmas. But I understand that there has been some issues and such with the project. So
yeah, it's just a bit behind. I think we should expect it in the first months of 2020. So it's not far away,
right.
but yeah, it just has been delayed, and I think that's definitely been a failing of this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
And I think as a project we need to be aware of and just understand that we have to kind of not pick up the pace, but just be aware that we need to be better with releasing more books at a faster pace.
Yeah, and I guess the problem is as a volunteer project, it's hard to set deadlines. Because you don't know if people will be available, basically.
Yeah, you're reliant on people's time, and that's always a variable.
Yeah, so it's a shame, but it's I guess it's understandable, but we really wish it was different.
Yeah, exactly. But I think as well, like to take a positive from it, the community will probably know that the book that they do get is going to be really good, and it's not going to be like half finished when it comes out.
Yeah, that's true. I do think that the quality of the of the previous books have, as I said, put quite a lot of expectation.
Yeah.
But I do think that they will be able to live up to it also, from the spoilers I've seen.
Yeah.
There've been quite a lot of those.
You said you had some IDE spoilers?
Yeah, the Santa Claus.
Okay, so you didn't have anything yourself?
No, or well, actually, now that you mention it, I have actually been working on a little contribution to the project myself.
Okay.
For the Infernal Wars. So as in a lot of the spoilers have mentioned this about the Infernal Wars being a highly mechanized force, and they have an industry capable of mass producing things. And my thought was basically that since they are mass producing things, there must be mechanical drawings somewhere in the world, right?
Yeah.
And my day life is I'm a mechanical engineer, so in the end I figured maybe I can do those drawings. So
cool.
I've started.
So you've done some drawings for the book?
Yeah, I'm trying to put together some mechanical drawings. It's going pretty well so far. Quite a lot of work still to do, and I know. Yeah, we'll see how it goes basically, and if it ends up in the book. That's my hope for sure. But I just don't know yet.
Nice. I think we didn't get much for the Night Scroll this month, but one of the legendary army book team leaders has been working on. Obviously, the Infernal Dwarves are going to get some new units in the book, and he's been making models for his own army, so that he can use these new units when the book is released.
So he's that's cheating, really.
Well,
having that insider knowledge.
The benefits of knowing what's coming, right? But so he's been converting some models, and he's going to be posting his work in progress pictures of the conversions in the Night Scroll. So that'll give people an idea of some of the options maybe that some units will have, and some of the new units that are being released in the book.
Nice. That's awesome to hear. So another thing to look forward to in the next scroll, I guess.
Yeah.
That's cool. So and yeah, the scroll has been quite a lot of previous spoilers for the book as well.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I think we should also mention that hopefully, while this year has been a delay, they are working with this new agile approach to making books. So the Dread Elf book is also underway as we speak.
Yes,
so
that's something that I'm working on a little bit at the moment.
Okay, cool. So hopefully we will not only see the Infernal Dwarfs army next year, but maybe also the Dread Elves.
Yeah, the plan is to release it next year.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to put money on when, but
no, I understand. But yeah, hopefully 2 books next year. That would be really nice.
And I think there will also be work started on the next book as well.
Yeah, hopefully. Do we have any idea what book that will be, or is it something that's hush hush at the moment?
I think if I was to say anything, it would be a bit preemptive. But there is a discussion at the moment on which book it will be, but it hasn't been decided yet.
Okay. Yep, that's interesting to hear. So I'm very much looking forward to knowing that when it's when it's ready.
I think as soon as it's decided, there will be no harm in telling people what the next book will be.
Yeah, I really do think that the project has been quite open about a lot of things. Sometimes maybe a bit too much. I think it could be good to hold things, to finish things and then maybe sit on them a day or two. Sometimes it feels like the releases of things are a bit rushed.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think the Orc Olympics is a good example of that.
Yeah.
We talked about it, I think, probably last year, and it's been really slow to complete it. But obviously, people in the project have been busy on other things.
Yeah.
But that hasn't really materialized yet.
Yeah, there was a teaser of one of the of the competitions in the scroll.
Yeah.
But it hasn't really gotten that much attention or anything, I know.
But it will be quite interesting when it does come out, and I think it will give people a better idea of how the orcs fit into the Ninth Age setting.
Yeah, okay, that's cool to hear.
And for anyone who's interested in the background of the orcs and goblins, I think some of the best background that the Ninth Age has written, from my personal opinion.
Yeah, there was this. There was some sort of goblin who wrote a translator, I think, who had a little text about the games, I think, in one of the scrolls. Yeah. Yeah, that was a pretty neat piece, I think. So yeah, that's something more to look forward to in the next year.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Do we think we are about ready to wrap this section up? I have all of the bullet points that I wanted to bring up are covered. Do you have anything more?
I think there's a couple more things that I could talk about. Another thing which has been obviously recently as well, has been the points updates.
Yeah.
So this is obviously for the people who are more interested in the game. This is obviously a massive thing that's happened recently. All the points balance updates has been done based on all the data that's been collected from the tournament analysis team. And I hope that they've been relatively well received in general. I know a few armies maybe feel a bit more hard done by than others, but I think it's been quite a positive process.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I had a guest over last time, and we did discuss it quite a bit. Some of the different changes, and basically, I think the vampire community Vampire Covenant community is a bit upset, parts of it at
Okay.
least.
I haven't really been paying too much attention. What was their problems with it?
I mean, some feel that they've been nerfed too many times on things that didn't deserve it, basically. And some nerfs on things that they didn't feel was necessary, and some of those I agree with, like units that no one was really taking, that didn't, because there are problems in the book of everybody admits to that, and they have addressed some of those. Some people say it's too much, but then there are also some things that received nerfs that didn't at all feel necessary, like the spectral steed for the vampire courtier, so the little Pegasus mount, basically.
Okay.
Never
that's
seen
not really used.
No, and it received a small point increase, like 5 or 10 points. So it doesn't really matter in the end. But it was a bit strange.
Okay, I mean, maybe that's just like coming into line with other armies or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. And then some people were upset that it was so difficult to get a reply from the rules team about motivations and to these changes.
Okay.
And I guess that is something that would be very appreciated to have supplied with changes, but at the same time it's more work, and that means less books, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah. But overall, I think that the reception has been quite well, especially from the top books that were supposedly nerfed the hardest. So I haven't heard that much whining from the Undying Dynasties and the Vermisworms players.
No.
It seems pretty well received there, so that's good.
I think the Undying Dynasties changes are really interesting because there was only obviously one of the only books that got a rules change.
Yeah.
So I don't know if how much you see the.
No,
you do. Or...
I know the change and some of the motivation behind it, and I think it's a good one. So they increase the casting value of the attribute, basically. If you want to raise models when casting spells, you have to. The spell is slightly more difficult to cast.
Yeah, exactly. I quite like the change.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I mean, getting that for free basically was a bit weird in retrospect.
Yeah. And I think the last thing for me is the global campaign that's been running at the moment.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I completely forgot about that.
That's been really successful. I was involved in it at the start. I've been posting up my things, but I've just been really busy since summer, basically, with work and everything. So I haven't had the time to go in and post stuff. But it seems to have been really successful, and I think the campaign team have had a lot of fun with it. And I hope that people who have been involved in it have also really enjoyed it. People seem to be posting up a lot of things about it, so it's really good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been involved in it as well.
A little bit. I've posted some of my Empire models up there, but not super involved. But it's been cool to see it going on in the background.
I just think showing that the 9th Age has the capacity to do these kind of projects is really really positive.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest takeaway from it. That people have a desire for these kind of things, not just playing games and etc., but there's like a larger element to the hobby.
Yeah, certainly. That's always a good reminder.
Yeah.
So I think they decided to just let it keep running, pretty much. The campaign, the fight for Everest. But I think they would reevaluate it a little bit in the new year. See see where they will take it, basically.
There's also, I just had a message from the executive board. I just asked them, is there anything that you wanted me to mention on the show? And they said that the Chinese community has popped up over the last few months, and that's been a really interesting thing for us. I guess before we didn't really know that there was anyone playing in China, but it seems that they're setting up a community in China now, and that's growing.
Okay, that's cool to hear.
I don't know anything more than that, but it's something to mention as a positive.
Yeah, certainly.
And I think the last thing I have is just that the website got a bit of a remake.
Yeah, of course. I had thought about that, but I must have failed to written it down. So yeah, that's a big piece of news.
Yeah, I really like the new website. I think it would be better if it was even more extensive than it is. I think a remake of the forums would be nice as well, but yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it contained some new pieces of fluff that were quite nice, and all the miniature pictures and excuse me, and yeah, overall a great update and a really good way to introduce people to the hobby.
Yeah,
the forum is not the most beginner friendly place, perhaps, but it has other qualities for sure. But the new website is a good introduction.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's a good call. Okay, we've been going on for an hour and a half now.
Oh, really? Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Almost my hyenas.
So. Yeah, but I see no reason to stop.
No?
We've finished the project news, I think. Touched upon a lot of the high points and some of the low points of the year. So moving on to some miniatures, I guess.
Yes,
because
for sure.
This is, after all, a miniature game. So I think I'll start with something that we already mentioned in the news, which is, to me, one of the absolute highlights of the year is the folk rabble from the Fireforge.
Yeah.
And overall, there's a successful Kickstarter and all of that. It's been a really good year for them and miniatures from them.
Yeah, I agree. And it's really nice to see like their willingness to cooperate with the community. They're really good at replying to things on their community thread.
Yeah.
And in general, I think they're doing a really good job with these models.
Yeah, I actually think that the folk rabble was a bit of a miscommunication with the community. I know they were part of the Kickstarter, but a stretch goal that was pretty high, and it wasn't reached in the end.
Okay.
So it was a bit of a delay, I think, to getting them. If I understand things correctly, I could be totally wrong here.
Yeah, I think you're right. I ordered one box in my pledge, and I haven't received them yet, but I received everything else. But it's seen recently that they've just arrived from China, or wherever they produce them, and they're going to be sending them out over Christmas time. So if people have ordered them, they should be coming soon.
Yeah. That's the way I understood it. And for me, as I said, the Kickstarter and the undead miniatures and all that, it was awesome miniatures, but I didn't feel that interested in it because I already had a lot of those.
Yeah.
So it didn't feel like something I needed. But the folk rabble, that was what really grabbed my attention. I really wanted some boxes of that. And I considered backing the project, and then waiting to see if they reached the stretch goal where they would be available. And then if they didn't, I planned to back out. But in the end, I didn't even back it in the first place because it didn't look any close that it would reach that goal. And I think I wasn't alone in this. So I think they misjudged the community a little bit in what they wanted.
Okay, interesting. But now they're available and people can get them, hopefully.
Yep. Yeah. So
I also say with this Kickstarter, I think it was this company that said that they would be after all this Kickstarter's over. I think they're going to be focusing on other fantasy ranges like dwarves and orcs and humans. Elves.
Yeah.
So that would be really interesting to see what happens with this company going forwards, because they're making really nice miniatures, and they have obviously they come from like a historical miniatures background, and this is the first time they've got into making fantasy models. And so it would be really nice to see like where they actually go with it and how they progress.
Yeah, I agree. That would be super interesting to see. Yeah. So that's Fireforged. Do you have any?
Yes. Shield Wolf Miniatures. They did a Forest Goblin Kickstarter.
Yeah, that was on my list too.
That was actually really good. The quality again of Shield Wolf has only improved over the winter. It's been a long day. Over the year.
Yeah.
And this Forest Goblin Kickstarter was no different. They're making some really, really nice miniatures with Shield Wolf now. And they already have their orcs range, which is like the mountain orcs. I don't know if you're familiar with those.
No, I haven't seen a lot of the models in person, but I looked at quite a lot of on those for pictures online, because they look really good, I think.
Yeah, I quite like their take on them.
Yeah, it's a very unique take on orcs.
Yeah, I think they'll be better for feral orcs, let's say.
Yeah, certainly, and I think it's an advantage and a disadvantage, because I don't think I will ever buy any of them. Maybe one or two of the characters, yes, to try them out, perhaps. But I have a large orc army, orc goblin army, but their take on orcs is so unique that I can't really mix them into my army.
Yeah, they're kind of a bit crazy feral orc rather than like the kind of comedy Games Workshop orc.
Yeah, and they have it. I thought a lot about it, and the big difference is that they don't have lips.
Okay.
They are like crocodiles, more like. So it's a really cool take, but it makes them very different. So if I were to start a new Orcs Goblin army, and now we're talking many years down the line, I would probably go to Shield Wolf.
Yeah. Did you see much of their Forest Goblins when they came out?
Not really. I haven't followed those that closely.
I think the Forest Goblins are a little bit more similar to what you would get from Games Workshop.
Okay, that's good to know. I don't have any Forest Goblins in my army really, so if I were to add some,
maybe that's a good place to go.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, wasn't it Shield Wolf that they did a Kickstarter for the Forest Goblins, but it failed, and now they tried again, basically?
I'm not sure. I know that the last one was very successful.
Yeah, but I think they did one for the Forest Goblins, and it didn't reach the goal, and so they brought it back to the table and thought out some ideas. I think they added quite a few stretch goals and additional miniatures, like these. They had some sort of mounted miniatures in the army now.
Yeah,
I think those were new to the updated Kickstarter.
Okay.
So they learned from their mistakes and made a better Kickstarter. So that's good.
And that's really good to see as well, when you see a company that's willing to take feedback and modify what they thought was a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I'll continue with another Kickstarter that I actually backed in this year. I have not received anything from it yet, but it's in the works, I understand. It's the Watchful Eye, Watchful Studio is the company name, and they did a terracotta Kickstarter.
Ah, yeah, this one was cool.
Yeah, I really liked the models.
What army were you using it for? Will it be a UD army?
Yeah, it's I backed it for a full army and of UD, and it's I intend to do a speed painting project out of it. And
cool.
I think they are quite suitable for it. I mean, yes, do it everything terracotta and the horses some other color, and yeah, you're pretty much set.
Pick up the metals, weapons or something.
Yeah.
I'm sensing a Night Scroll article here.
Could be. I need to get an airbrush before I do this, but I'm having my eyes set on getting one of those two. So
cool.
Hopefully it will be a pretty quick project once I get around to it.
Were these models, was it purely like humans who were terracotta, or was there any fantasy elements?
They had a dragon in them. That's suitable to use as a sphinx, pretty much.
Cool.
And also some Fu statues, animated with riders on top.
Yeah.
As the what are they called?
Cavalry. Oh, the cataphracts.
Yeah, cataphracts. That's right. So and also some underworld guardians sort of things to use as chaptis, some big infantry models.
Yeah.
They had a lot of the Watchful Studios. They have a large range of historical miniatures and a lot of Chinese themed miniatures. Really good range.
I was considering using some of the Fu Guardians as lion chariot models, or lions for lion chariots.
Yeah, that could work very well. But this Kickstarter that they did is really their first big step into fantasy elements. They have had for quite a long time the basic terracotta miniatures, but not a whole army of them. So and they were also out of stock for a very long while. I was thinking about starting this army quite long ago, but I couldn't because they were out of stock. But then the Kickstarter appeared, and I was all in at once, pretty much.
Cool.
So that was nice.
So the next one that I wanted to mention was Last Sword miniatures.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this one.
Elves, I think.
Yeah, they have. They did a elf one at the start of the year, and then they did another one which was undead at towards the middle of the year. I backed the elf one because I really like the character models, and I got some characters in some of their Dragon Guard. They're like Rhymer Knights, but on foot with like dragon scale cloaks.
That's cool.
Yeah, they're really nice. So I got some of those. Like a unit of 20, like with unit fillers that I added to. I made a unit of 24 from 2 boxes of 10. And I also got their characters as well on the stretch goals.
Yeah.
And they're really nice. And then they also had an undead one. I think it's a Spanish company, and I guess they theme it a little in the Spanish culture way. So they did like some kind of, whether it's a historical figure or something, but they did like what I only assume is like a knight from a Spanish story who was like a vampire. And then they had like a really cool Barra King model.
Yeah.
I didn't back this Kickstarter because I had already backed the Fireforge Undead one, and I have everything I need. Some of the models were really, really, really nice, especially the characters. And I think you can buy them now on the web shop.
Okay, that's cool. I have a lot of undead characters for my army already, but I guess you can never have too many.
Yeah. My issue is I already have some really nice painted Barrow King models, so I didn't.
Yeah.
But that was the one that I was considering on pledging for.
Yeah. Yeah, really, the Barrow King. I have one of the Games Workshop White King models, the one with shield, and that is, I think it's one of the best miniatures the Games Workshop has ever produced, actually.
Yeah.
I love that pose. It's so cool, really.
I have the same, but I didn't really like it that much, so I converted it.
Okay, the different tastes.
Yeah. I actually think the last sword miniature one is better. It's I would say it's similar to that one, like the way that the armor is made and stuff, but I think it's actually better, the last sword miniature one.
Okay, yeah, I'd have to look that up for sure then. Because I remember their elf Kickstarter quite distinctively, but I must have missed this Undead one.
It was a bit under the radar, I think, and also I know that they're going to be doing another elf Kickstarter next year.
Okay.
I've seen they've sent me a few pictures of what they're going to do, but I'm not allowed to tell anyone what it's going to be.
Ooh, insider trading here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's another thing to look forward to then.
They're very much like in relation to the Ninth Age project. I think they're all playing Ninth Age, so it's really nice to see companies that are doing what they do specifically for the Ninth Age.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Watchful Studios, their Terracotta project, they were very much aware of the Ninth Age existence because they did units for pretty much all of the options in the books. But they also have a large following of people who don't play Ninth Age at all, so they cater to both camps basically.
I also saw one. I don't know if it's the same one. Probably not actually, but there was like a UD/Dread Elf Kickstarter recently. One of the guys in my gaming group has backed it.
Okay. I
don't remember who it was though, but it was
Deserts of the Dead or something like that.
Yeah, potentially.
So I know there's been a lot of undead desert Kickstarters in the past year actually, but I can't really keep them apart, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a good year for Undying Dynasties players, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think in general it just shows like how much market there is for Ninth Age, for mass infantry games.
Yeah, I mean I do these Paint Desk Ramblings episode every 2 weeks, and I always have miniature news to bring up and discuss, because there are so many companies out there, and a lot of them are supporting Ninth Age, and really I only focus on those that have outspoken support of the Ninth Age, because I don't have time to look into all the other companies.
Yeah.
So it still fills the schedule basically. So it's a lot of cool things coming out. Okay. I think it's my turn.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think we'll continue with the Undying Dynasties theme, because we have a fairly new company. I think they started out late in 2018, but they've done a lot of new things in 19, and that's the Lubart Miniatures.
Yeah.
And I think they are one of the most promising companies.
I agree. And I've been speaking to the owner of Lubart. He's a really nice guy, and he gave me a lot of tournament support this year in my tournament, and really nice of him to do that. and really cool company as well.
Yeah, they have a lot of interactions with people on the forums.
Yeah, I think they were sponsoring ETC as well.
Okay, cool. So for me, the most awesome thing they did was, I don't think it was an Indiegogo campaign, I think, not a Kickstarter, but close enough.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, crowdfunding, I guess, is the general term, but everyone just says Kickstarter. For their Undying Dynasties range of these Spartan or Greek themed undeads.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to see. So unique take on the undead skeletons.
Yeah, I really like them as well. I think they're really nice. If I was going to do an Undying Dynasties army, I would choose these models.
Yeah, if I hadn't just backed the Terracotta Kickstarter, I would have been all over this one.
Yeah.
So they beat them to the punch, the Watchful Studios, but still, this is a very unique take on it.
We got some of those the Sandstalker models. They're really nice as well.
Yeah, those they are like the worms basically burrowing through the earth. Yeah. I was thinking about getting some of those because those could go very well with the rest of the Terracotta army. Some tamed beasts basically. But then I realized that in Terracotta you can't use the underground ambush, I think.
Oh, you can't?
So, no, I think it's just off limits, basically.
Okay, so you would actually be using the army as a Terracotta army?
Yeah, of course. Playing the army is the next step after painting it. First paint it, then maybe play it, and we'll see what I do with it. But the plan is definitely to use it as a Terracotta army. So we'll see how that goes. But the Sandstalkers and the Scorpions, neither of them are very useful in the Terracotta army, I think.
Okay.
So, but if I will add those to my army, will probably be from Lubart.
So my turn?
Yep.
So I backed a Kickstarter for my beast herds. It's by a company called RDG Gaming.
Yeah.
And they made hard plastic fawns and centaurs.
That's
I
neat.
think this one was one that was a bit under the radar that maybe not everyone got to see. But it was the models look really cool. I think they're a little bit small, maybe, but at the same time, it's the Games Workshop models are the only company that really make models that in like a large unit for beastmen or beast herds. And this was like a really good opportunity to get a lot of models for a good price and ones that look actually okay. So I'll be using these for my wild horns in my army and maybe some centaurs as well.
Okay, cool. I seem to remember seeing something like that, but not entirely sure.
Yeah, and I think now it's also just come out where you can pre-order them for regular sale as well.
Okay, cool. It's really cool to see more and more companies doing hard plastic multi-part kits.
Yeah, definitely. Not just Games Workshop.
Yeah. I mean, the Fireforge is probably one of the better on the market, unless you count historicals, because I think there's quite a lot of those actually.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. I think. Yeah, that's all of the mine that I had written down, actually.
The last one for me is Atlantis Miniatures.
Okay.
They make some really, really nice models. I actually own a few of their models already. I have the Minotaur models for my beast herds. but they did a Sylvan Elves Kickstarter, and the quality of their models is fantastic, and the poses and stuff that they make are just amazing. Like the sculpts are just crazy good, and they're really, really fluffy. They're like really like look just exactly what you would want. Is like almost like what I would say like my perfect Sylvan Elf army if they weren't so expensive. They're as I say, they are a bit pricey, but I ended up backing them for their Briar Maiden models because I don't really like the Games Workshop ones. And it's the one unit in my Sylvan Elf army that I don't own, and I also got some of their characters as well.
Yeah.
But this was a Kickstarter that I'm really excited about getting the miniatures for. They had like a big owl model with a character on, and they also did like
neat.
A dragon and stuff as well. But I didn't get that. I just got the owl and the Briar Maidens.
Just had to go look this up because I couldn't recall any Atlantis miniatures, but I'm looking at them now. That's really cool stuff.
Yeah, they look awesome.
Very feral, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
It's definitely in my image of what I imagine Sylvan Elves to be.
Yeah, I think the Ninth Age fluff about the Sylvan Elves have a pretty strong focus on the feral aspect of them.
Yeah. I think the way that the elves are in the Ninth Age, the Sylvan Elves are kind of, well, at least in their mind, they would say that they're the original elves, and the elves kind of came from the forests and then traveled around the world, and so the Sylvan Elves are more aligned with the original culture of the elves.
Yeah.
In the Ninth Age.
That's actually, it makes sense, I guess. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it just makes sense, I think. They seem the least civilized, and I mean, it makes sense to go from less civilized to more civilized, I guess. Yeah. So, yeah.
That was the last one, I think, from me.
Okay, then maybe it's time to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts on the year?
Yeah, I think it's been a really good year in the Ninth Age. I think we've seen a lot of things come and go, and I think there's a lot more to come.
Yeah, a bit of a shame about the lack of Infernal Dwarves under the Christmas tree, but overall it's been a good year. I certainly agree.
I think one thing that we should also mention on the subject of models is the amount of models that have actually come out of Games Workshop.
Yeah, they have also been producing a lot of models, that's true.
I'm not sure I like them that much. Not all of them, but some of them are really nice.
No. Yeah, the one that really caught my attention was the squeaks. I don't know if they're called that anymore in Games Workshop. Git Mob, perhaps, something like that.
Something like that.
But that was a really cool release. I wouldn't have guessed that they would ever release plastic squeaks.
No.
But they did. And I'm not super keen on the Sculpts. I think they've lost a lot of charm. They are too bestial. The new squeaks, I think, they aren't as cute as the old ones.
Yeah.
But it's really good to see, and yeah, it's a good release, certainly.
Yeah, there was I think a few that missed the mark a little bit, like the skeleton undead guys, which were like the bone
reapers.
Yeah, I think for me that was a bit like, what the fuck is
this? Yeah, that seemed to be.
Yeah, I wasn't sure on those ones. I mean, they could have taken it like a really interesting way, because I could see that the general model that they brought out was like he looks a bit like a samurai type guy. I think it would have been much more cool if they just made like a Japanese themed skeletons.
Yeah, really lean into that Eastern style.
Yeah, exactly. But they didn't. They went with like weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't really explain what they are. They're just a bit strange.
Yeah, I think I've heard it said that when doing miniature releases, though, what you really don't want is something that's just okay. You want strong emotions, even if a lot of people think that the Bone Reapers are pretty ugly and very weird aesthetically. There are a lot of people who really love them too, I think.
Okay, I've not heard any positive about them.
I'm sure they're out there, and that's, you need to create those strong emotions with releases, basically.
Yeah, and Games Workshop still are making some nice models. We can't deny them that, and I hope that we have the opportunity to include some of them in the Ninth Age as well.
Yeah, they are probably still some of the highest quality miniatures for sure, though aesthetically they are another miniature company, basically. You can either hate it or love it, basically.
Yeah, it's just something different, isn't it?
Yeah, and I agree with you that a lot of recent releases aren't that aesthetically pleasing in my mind. But some people love it, and that's great.
Yeah.
More miniatures is better.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically. So, okay. Yeah, I think that will do for closing thoughts for me. More miniatures is better.
Yeah.
And it's been a good year for miniatures for all around, and the Ninth Age especially, because we can take the cherries from every single company.
Yeah, and that's something that's really good about the Ninth Age in general. Like as I said, I was doing an intro game with a friend of mine yesterday, and he was like,
"Yeah,
where did you get all these miniatures from?" And I was like, "Well, this one's from this one, and this one's from this one, and these ones are from Games Workshop." And he's like, "Oh, so you don't need to use like specific models?" I'm like, "No, you can use whatever you like as long as they're on the same base size and the model looks reasonably clear what it is. That's all you need." And he's like, "Oh, wow, okay, that's really cool." And I think that's the strength of the Ninth Age, and I think that's something that sets us apart from other companies or other game systems.
Other games, yeah, that's very true. And I think the Ninth Age does a pretty good job at playing to this strength, but they could maybe do more as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe it could be an idea for the scroll to try and do. You have done some extra units in the scrolls, as we mentioned, to maybe focus on picking up these really awesome miniature releases and do rules for them, both from Games Workshop and other companies, of course.
Ah, that's a good idea. That's a really cool idea, actually.
Yeah, I think it could be interesting.
Yeah, something I'll think about in the new year. Just to give myself another shameless plug. If I ever get around to editing it in the next few days, the Night Scroll should be out on the 1st of January.
Okay, that's great to hear.
Or around that time. I just looked at the date now and it's the 29th. I'm like, 3 days left. I have everything in place. I just need to edit it together and do all the layout.
Okay. So a lot of things to look forward to, basically, in the next year, and a good year behind us.
Yes, definitely.
So, some follow-up on the hobby showcase, hobby spotlight, as I call it. So you want to start?
Yeah, I guess we've been here in an hour or so, and I've painted 5 hyenas. I haven't finished them because I need to drill holes in the bases, and I didn't want to make a lot of noise with the recording on.
But consider it.
I finished my hyenas, and I've also done a bit more on my 2 bases for some chariots. And it was my birthday a few weeks ago, and someone bought me a little pug from like a toy shop. And so he's going to go on like a cavalry base and be like the champion of the Warhounds. And I also painted a base with him. And I'll send you some.
That's great. Okay, so yeah, if everything goes as planned, those pictures will be edited into the video, so you watching will see them.
Yeah.
Cool. Through the magics of editing. For myself, I've gotten pretty far along with my handgunner. Again, we'll see if I can get it to focus and get some light up here.
There you go. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's getting there. The metal remains to do, and she has some bandages on her leg. Planning to add some blood splatter on that, something like that. But yeah, it's a nice sculpt, or well, rather not actually. I don't quite like these newer Empire models by Games Workshop. They have too little fluff on their arms and legs,
Maybe
which is why I did.
New Fireforge.
Yeah, those have a lot, and I usually convert them with older arms and or sculpt some fluff on them and all of that Landsknecht stuff. But I didn't bother on this one because I probably won't play it that much. But I did the freehand stripes on her arms and legs instead, so that turned out good in the end.
So here's a question for you. Like, obviously, your models, some of the things that you produce are fantastic. How long does it actually take you to paint? Would you say you're a fast painter or a slow painter, or does it actually take a long time to create these masterpieces?
Well, thank you for saying them, calling them that. I don't know if they are, but I wouldn't say that I'm a fast painter. I'm a dedicated painter. I can sit down very, very long times and just paint. So I get stuff done basically, but it takes a lot of time. So we've been going now for 2 hours actually, and this model was pretty far along when I started, but I've been doing highlights and all of that. So it takes its time basically. But it's something I want to work on, which is why I partly why I ordered the terracotta Kickstarter, so that I can try speed painting something, because that is something that I never done. This the Empire army I'm doing, Emperor Zornstall, is I'm putting my everything into it. I want to try and make it as good as possible.
Yeah, win some painting trophies.
Yeah. That's the ambition for sure. My Orcs and Goblins army and Vampire Covenant army I have huge armies already of. I add to sometimes, and then I do not as much effort into it. Basically, I did the Spectral Hunters recently for the Vampire army, and those are just all right. I would call them. Those are pretty quick paint jobs. I experimented a little bit with painting black on them. But not that much effort, basically.
I have the same with my elf armies. I just paint them to the standard that the other models are. And when you have a high elf army that you painted when you were 18, it's a little 15 or something, like the quality is not as good.
Yeah. That can be a trap, though. Now we're getting into completely off topic here, really, but it's something that's good to talk about, I think. If you don't push yourself on painting, it can become quite dull, really, and it becomes a chore mostly. So even if it's just some little detail, something that you can find that to push yourself on when painting, it becomes much more interesting. And if that makes it clash a little bit with the rest of the army, I think it's worth it, because you get more stuff painted, basically.
Okay, interesting perspective.
So that's my Empire army is always I'm trying to push myself, especially painting skin and metal. But usually when I have a project, I try to find some aspect of it that I want to challenge myself on. So as I said, the black cloth was the thing for the Spectral Hunters. So okay, that's we've gone on long enough, I think. So I thank you very much for coming on.
You're welcome. Always happy to come on.
Yeah, I think it turned into a long episode, but I think we had a lot of good discussion.
There's a lot of good stuff that happened this year, so lots to talk about.
Certainly. I'd be happy to have you on again in some other topic in the future.
Yeah, fantastic. Maybe next year we do a 2020 review.
Yeah, that's always on the table, of course. So, okay.
Well, thanks, and have a good new year.
Yeah, you too. And that goes for all of our listeners and viewers too. Thank you for staying this long if you made it this far. And well, I'll see you on the next one.
Will do.
Cheers.